Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are out there in this world. It's time for another episode of Train Talk from Milepost 141. This is the SoundTraxx Soundbites podcast coming to you from sunny Durango, Colorado.
Yeah.
Here we are in the middle of November, and it was beautiful outside. I almost didn't want to come back. It was so beautiful out.
I went down and ate my lunch down by the river.
Yeah, exactly.
It's kind of nice, you know. Not in a van, but just in a truck.
You sure you weren't in a van?
No, I wasn't. Not today. I wasn't. I was in a truck. I'm pretty certain about that. Yes.
But no, it's beautiful out there, and I can't complain too much. But apparently, as of this recording, the cold weather's coming next week.
Yeah.
Which I'm going to be out of town for, so that's fine with me. Doesn't hurt my feelings.
No. Lucky you. Yeah.
But anyway, so we've got a lot to recap. We've just recently done our Train Fest, and we've talked about that. It's been really busy, and especially here, so we don't really have any new projects to talk about this particular week.
No.
But we wanted to share with you some of the cool things you can get. If you're unaware of, we've got our really cool hat. And my homies agree I really look good in this hat.
Yeah.
But anyway, you can buy this on our website, SoundTraxx.com. And then for the holiday season, we've got this really cool Christmas ornament. These are in celebration of our 35th, but they don't actually have the 35th anniversary logo on it. So they just say SoundTraxx Durango, Colorado. So these are things you can pick up on your website or on our website.
Right.
Really excited. These are actually selling really well.
They are, yeah. So get them while they're here, while they last.
Yep. And then, as you may have noticed, I've got my 35th anniversary T-shirt. These are almost sold out.
Yeah.
We've got a few oddball sizes. So
we've had a few people call in. They want some more of the big boy sizes too. So I said, we'll have to put that in for next year. I said, but these are a one-time deal.
Yeah, these are the one-time deal. We have to get some new T-shirts made up.
Basically, you had two choices. You could either pass or lose weight and get the ones we have. And he said, I'll wait for the new ones.
There you go. It's tough to trust me. I always joke.
Mine's like that too.
The problem is, and I tell people, is like, I play hockey two, 3 times a week.
Right.
Imagine how big I'd be if I didn't play hockey.
Right.
Holy crap.
Well, and yesterday I put tires on my truck, so I got to walk I just went ahead and walked from the tire place back to the house and back. So that was a nice little walk. So
yeah.
But again, it was beautiful. Yesterday I was like, I'm going to walk.
Yeah.
I'm not going to get a cab or nothing.
No complaints.
Nope, none at all.
So anyway, we don't really have anything else to talk about as far as new projects, but we do have a model here in front of us. This is some of you guys may notice it looks like it might be way away from the camera, but it's an N-scale engine. This is an N-scale EM1 that we've put in our Blue Nami.
Right.
And we're really excited about this because the Blue Nami, the Blue 1100s, man, I'm telling you, people are really excited about that.
Yep, we had it set up at Train Fest and had a lot of interest in that, and most of it, large scale as usual, but N-scale kind of stole the show up there.
I'm telling you. And to kind of speak to that point, I'm going to bring in our special guest here. This is Aaron at A&S Trains based down there in Florida. I believe it's in the greater Tampa area. I'll kind of let him tell you a little bit about it. Aaron, welcome to the show.
Thanks, George, Tom. We're actually based about an hour south of Tampa in Northport, Florida. Our business has been in business about 3-ish years now. We're doing primarily shows and online only. We do not have a brick and mortar. We felt that having a brick and mortar in this area just did not suit our customer base, and I wasn't able to pass on the savings that I like passing on to my customers with having a brick and mortar. I can do that with having the shows and the online business.
And you've gone to
SoundTraxx has been amazing.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh no, you're good, George. Just SoundTraxx was one of our first vendors, actually. So they've watched us grow over the last 3 years, and they've, I've been able to pick their brains on decoders and speakers and everything that I needed to know for our side of the business. Customer service is by far the best I've ever seen.
I appreciate that.
That's good. One of the things I've noticed, and I'll go ahead and let you talk because I'm noticing I've got a microphone falling in my face here. So I'm going to go fix that really quickly. But you've traveled quite a bit. You've gone all over the country to see. We saw you in Michigan, so you're not bound to that Florida area.
No, absolutely not. We go as far west as we've been all the way out west to Denver. We've been to Michigan several times. We go to Wisconsin. We go up into the Northeast to Amherst, to Pennsylvania. So we're all over the United States, basically. We're trying to keep it east of the Mississippi right now, just because, 3 days of travel just doesn't exactly jive too well for economics right now. But, maybe eventually we'll make it out west, I'd love to make it up to like Pacific Northwest up in that area and do a show or two up there.
Yeah, that's a beautiful area too, speaking of parts of the country. But the good news is from what I understand and seeing you at shows, you've got a fairly large setup out there. You carry a lot of stuff. You've got most major manufacturer brands out there. As a matter of fact, I think the last time I was there, I bought some detail parts from you. So you bring in a lot of that stuff to the show. So it really is a mobile hobby shop.
Yeah, everyone says, when they see our setup, wow, you're a hobby shop on wheels. And that's what we were going for. We were going for the hobby shop on wheels approach because there's a lot of those areas that are missed at trade shows. And with the brick and mortars, going out more and more rapidly as we see, the retirement or the passing of the brick and mortar owners, we wanted to fill that gap that is left by being able to take that to the train shows with the scenery products, with the detail parts, with the decoders, with the new product, the used product. We wanted to be able to reach the broad customer base that was being missed at these train shows and take it and bring it to them. We've always, talked about doing a few more shows here and there just to hit smaller areas that maybe doesn't have a hobby shop that, we can draw from that as well. So, it's just one of those things we go to fill the need of the people. We travel with a 24-foot cargo trailer. We generally fill an area anywhere from 20 by 20 foot all the way up to 20 by 40 foot.
Oh, wow. That's a good size.
Well, there's something to be said also about, like you were explaining, to the customer, it means a lot to have the hobby shop, there at the show coming to them rather than them have to look at something sight unseen on a website. It's kind of nice to have a full range hobby shop like that. And I was impressed with your setup at Train Fest too, because it really was a hobby shop right there, pretty much with a plethora of product that you had there and the variety of everything that you had of each type and scale.
Well, thanks, Tom. I appreciate that. That's what we go for. We carry a little bit of Z, a ton of N, a ton of HO. O scale, we're starting to back down on. We'll do special order for O scale and special order for G scale.
Okay.
But we're carrying everything else, and we're carrying the detail parts of scenery, woodland scenic.
Okay. Well, that's fantastic. And now I know that you had bought a collection, or you had basically bought out the inventory. Man, that's going forever. There we go. Safety valve just decided to run for 30 minutes.
Well, we don't want that thing blowing up on us when we're on the air, so.
But you had acquired the inventory from Bob the Train Guy, and he had a very big following. A lot of people in the Southeast, especially, and you were able to take that. So, can you talk a little bit about that and how his website rolls to yours now?
Yeah. So, all his inventory that he had, we were able to acquire. It took us about 5.5, 6 months to get it all up on our website. And we still have a few items that still have to be loaded up, but there was close to, I'm guessing, 10,000 items we had to get put on our website.
Oh, wow.
It's still a work in progress, but we're getting there. And like I said, if you don't see it on our website, please reach out to us. And if I can't find it, I will make sure to get it ordered in for you.
Okay.
That kind of thing. We do special orders all the time for people.
That's awesome.
And we don't charge any money up front until the item comes in and we're ready to ship to you either.
Okay. Well, and I know Bob was a very big SoundTraxx retailer, and you've assumed that as well. And so it's good to know that there's a place down in that area that you can get a lot of your SoundTraxx products, and you carry pretty much the full range, if I'm not mistaken. You've got everything from down to wires, current keepers, speakers, all the decoders, of course. And I tell you what, when we first announced this Blue 1100, I don't think anybody was excited as Mr. Aaron was when we announced that thing.
Right.
He was chomping at the bit. He started rattling off part number or quantities, and I'm like, wait, hold on a minute. I just barely soft announced this thing. Hold on, let me get the paper down and start writing it down. Because you're an N-scaler yourself, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm primarily N-scaler.
You're one of those small-minded folks. I'm just kidding. Don't hate me in the comments. I'm just joking.
I'm sorry, you guys are just horribly oversized.
There you go.
I saw what you did there.
Wait, what'd he do?
He made a pun out of that.
Huh? I don't get it.
H-O.
Really?
Yeah. He's quick.
But you do more of the N-scale stuff, so go ahead and tell us a little bit about your hobby and your modeling.
So I've basically been in the hobby since I was 2 years old. So I've been collecting roughly 40 years now. More recently, I've been focused primarily on 2000 to 2010 era Norfolk Southern. I'm going to try to work on a proto Lance layout for the Midwest, primarily like Northeast Missouri all the way down to St. Louis and Kansas City, kind of that general theme of Midwest roading, because I grew up in Missouri, worked for Norfolk Southern in Missouri for 2 years.
Sounds like Mopac territory, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. I mean, most guys that do NS, you always hear the rat hole and that kind of stuff. It's kind of refreshing to hear some of the different locale there. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was different working on that terminal. I actually worked from Moberly, Missouri to St. Louis, and then Moberly, Missouri to Decatur, Illinois.
Okay.
In that term, it was different. It was really different. So that's kind of why I chose the modeling era and aspect that I did. And then, everybody says, "Oh, I'm running modern. I can't run steam and all this on my layout." So I came up with a way around that. Every town, big a town, has a museum. Put a museum on your layout. You have an excuse to run whatever you want, and it can be prototypical.
Exactly.
Great idea.
Local excursions.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Just like St. Louis,
Oh, too bad this says Baltimore and Ohio. If it said Norfolk Southern, I'd have sold it to you.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool.
It's got that Norfolk and Southern look, the Malley,
Yeah. But this is that
old school.
This is that Baltimore and Ohio EM1,
right?
Which was specifically built for the B&O, I believe, and that type. So,
like we were talking about the other day, the NS or the Norfolk and Western had their own. I think they built their own locomotives, didn't they?
In some cases, they did.
Like the Y6, I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so. And does that sound right to you?
The Ys and the Js, they did themselves right there in house.
Yeah. Those things were hogs. See, those things could pull.
Yeah, they could.
Yeah. If I remember correctly, I was over at Spencer, North Carolina, and at their shops there at the train show over there. Can't remember, but I think they were saying they were turning an engine out every 3 weeks.
Wow.
Full tear down to full rebuild in 3 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's quick.
That is amazing. Especially back in those days too, you were talking about building a steam locomotive.
Well, Aaron, you said something about rebuilding, because that's the 1472 where they have to completely tear it down, inspect the boiler, and basically rebuild it in 3 weeks. That's impressive.
Yeah.
Because
but they had the full shop there. They had all the crews there. So it was really, if you guys ever get a chance to go out to Spencer, North Carolina, it's a phenomenal time and phenomenal museum out there too.
Cool.
But getting back to the 1100s, I've been hounding George for I don't know how many years since I seen the first Blue Nami come out. You need to go to N-scale. You need to go to N-scale. And finally they listened and were able to find a chip small enough, and it has been a game changer for the N-scale market and the small HO and HON3 people. I've got guys calling me up, can I put this in a Bachmann 440? I'm like, yeah, it'll fit. And They're like, really? I'm like, yeah, you can put in a Bachmann 440, you can put in a Rapido 44 tonner, the smaller HO scale engines, it's working out great for too. So not only the N scale market has really gained a new tool, the HO market has gained a new tool as well.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Unami has just been like my go-to anymore. I have way too many engines.
What? Is there such a thing?
No.
I don't think there is.
No, I think there's too few.
Yeah.
Not too many. Never.
Yes. So I've got about 300 I need to convert over between my HO and my N scale.
You don't say.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's another vacation for George now.
There you go.
Yeah, right?
Or 2 or 3.
I'll eventually be getting Blue Namis put in them because I have been that amazed with the product, with the reliability, the ease of use. I can go in there. I never had good luck speed matching or setting up speed tables or any of that. That was all above my head when it was CV such and such to such and such does such and such. Mm-hmm. Now that I can see it in plain English and explain that in plain English to my customer base,
Yep.
that is my number one sales tactic and use for it, is because I can go in there and I can open up my phone and I can say, oh, I want to change the horn. Pull down the horn tab. And they can hear the demo of the horn before it even is inputted into the engine itself.
Right.
And as soon as they see that, or they see me adjust the momentum or the speed table, they're like, yeah, we're not going back to the old way.
Well, speaking of, let's show this. For those of you guys watching on video and on audio, I'll try to explain what I'm doing. I've got this EM1, as we talked about, here in front of me. I'm going to go ahead and screen record my thing here in 3, 2, 1. Okay, screen record. That's for our editor to make sure that the screen picture comes in at the right time. But you talked about needing to change the whistle. So right now, you can hear that when I press the whistle button, you can hear that whistle. So to change it, we're just going to push this gear icon down at the bottom. That's our settings.
Right.
Well, in the case of whistle, that would be a sound setting. So we're going to go ahead and hit sound. Then we're going to go to main sounds, because the whistle is considered a main sound.
Right.
And now you can see right now it's set up. I'm not sure why, but it's a show thing. C19 number 340 yard mix. So we click that and you can see the list of all the whistles. They're named. And so like we can come over here, Baltimore and Ohio 3 chime. We can click that and you can instantly hear that sound change, and you can decide, is that the one I want? Well, let's go for broke, right? We're playing with house money. How about a C&O flat top single chime? We can keep going. But we've got 90 whistles. And then if you look here on the screen, you can actually see it says C19 340 yard is actually grayed and highlighted to show you that's what it was.
Right.
So we can click it again and sample it to make sure, oh, okay.
Yep.
But let's go for broke. We can keep on scrolling. You can see we've got 90 whistles pre-programmed in there. Here's a Lima 5 chime.
Yeah.
I don't like that one. I think that was it the Lunkenheimer. The Lunkenheimer is a whistle I like, and then this L&N Freight. No, maybe it's the passenger one. That's one I like too. But a lot of the for you being a Mopac fan, a lot of the Mopac ones were the deep steamboat style.
Right.
So you can get in here and get. You were talking about the Norfolk and Western here. There's the 611. And then the 1218 with that hooter.
Yeah.
For all you Pensy fans out there, there's the Banshee.
Yep.
Which is an annoying one.
Yeah.
But the Pensy people love it. And I tell you what, though, it is iconic, though.
Yeah, you can imagine that. You could hear them things coming at night.
Yeah, you could.
Especially your track side. Oh yeah,
that's a nice deep whistle. I like that one. So and then the best part is that once you decide which whistle you like, you can just hit OK. And it saves it.
Right.
Because what the app is doing is it's setting the CVs in the decoder so that your decoder can run the way you want it to.
Right.
That has nothing to do with the app. The app's just the interface. The app is setting CVs in the decoder so that that way, once you're done setting it up and deciding which chuff you want, which bell, which whistle, all those other sounds, once you get out of there, now you're just back to operation, and the app just, the app is just running your train Or if you prefer to use the DCC system, you can certainly use your DCC system. You just disconnect from the app, and then because once it's in app mode, it stays in app mode. You have to cycle power,
right.
But then you just grab it with your DCC system and go, and then you can run all day long on DCC.
Right.
You'll never know the difference between that and a Tsunami 2. But this user interface really does set the Blue Nami apart.
It does. The programming is brought down to just a few minutes versus 10 or 15, which is not bad, down to 5 minutes or less to set up an engine and run it. And the reason that whistle was probably like that when you first got on here is I think some young guys were there right before we closed down on Sunday, and they were messing with this engine. Right? And that's why they can anybody can get it. And they just said, I was showing them, this is how you change the whistle, and they were changing it. They were just going through like George did. They were picking the whistle and like, wow, that's pretty neat. Oh, let's try this one. Try this one.
And that's one of the things. That's why when I have trade show models, I don't usually worry too much about them.
Yeah.
The one thing I do for the trade show models, though, is I usually set a speed curve to where top speed is about a quarter.
I noticed that.
Because whenever anybody comes over, they always grab the throttle all the way up, and you're just like, I've got 5 feet of track.
Right.
Why would you do that? But everybody does it, so I usually do that. After that, I don't pay any attention to it because things change all the time. Just like you said, people will come up and experiment with it.
Yeah, we said at the start of the podcast today, this one was really one of the most popular one. Mm-hmm. That and the Broadway Limited engine you had on the rollers. They were all interested in that too. The sound was incredible, but this engine got a lot of work and got a lot of attention because it's in scale and you run it with a phone. And once we showed them the graphic user interface, it was like, game changer to them. Yeah.
And that's what's interesting, Aaron. You and I, when we first met, that first show was actually when we announced the Blue Nami. That was in St. Louis, right?
Yep.
Yeah. You guys, you and Sarah were sitting in the back of the room and watching and nodding along and grinning the whole time. And I'm noticing because I'm watching everybody. And you guys piled right up and said, we're a business. We want to sell this. And you're like, okay, sold. We signed you up, and you've been a great retailer ever since, selling a lot of decoders. And so that's, we appreciate that.
One other thing I love about the Blue Nami is the ease of copying CVs and pasting CVs to the next locomotive. Yes. I don't know how many times that has also sold that product as, how am I going to get my next engine to match this engine? Copy, paste.
So I'm going to show this while you're talking about it on the screen here.
It's really, simplified the way to get your next engine into the same configuration as your next one, and your next one, and your next one. So that way you're not having to go back and redo the steps 20, 30 times, when you're trying to get your roster updated. Mm-hmm. Or, hey, I didn't remember what this engine was set at, why don't we just copy and paste that engine and we're done? Because, you bought an engine 2 years later and you didn't know what you had preset from the one previously.
Exactly. And the cool thing is the app is smart because it won't override the address or the nickname. So you can nickname this one, let's say B&O 7600 or whatever, and the next one could be 7605. And the app knows not to override that, and it doesn't change the DCC address. Right. It'll copy everything else. And so that's a really good thing.
Amazing.
Because like you said, it does it in a matter of seconds. And, it's interesting. I had a friend of mine, I was talking to him last night, finally convinced him. He was one of those, he's certainly a SoundTraxx, user, and he really loves his Tsunamis, but he just couldn't justify in his mind the extra cost, because it is a couple of dollars more, but what you get for that few dollars more is amazing. But he was complaining to me because he just got done doing 3 upgrades to the Scale Trains GEVOs, and he was complaining that he had to go in and set all the CVs. I said, well, you do realize, Blue Nami, you'd have already been done by now.
Right.
And he goes, what? And I said, yeah, you're missing a lot because you won't look at it. And so finally this weekend he says he's going to go buy his first Tsunami, or his first Blue Nami,
that was when George introduced this at the national show in St. Louis, that the first inclination I had about it was the programming ease when he was demonstrating it there. Like, wow, so here's a way to really dial in your decoder without all the, going through the numbers and back in and out of menus and things like that. And nothing wrong with that, don't get me wrong, but this thing is like, it streamlined it tenfold. But as I got.
I mean, you don't have to turn it off on a program track or anything like that. You don't like how it's functioning on your layout, change the setting right then and there.
Yeah, literally can program it like that.
Yep. I remember there was one of my trains which we ran on a one of our YouTube videos, that 6-unit consist up at Colorado Railroad Museum.
Yeah.
When I was running that train, I got partway through and I realized this room is much bigger than my home layout.
Yeah.
So I had to turn the volumes up a little bit because you couldn't even hear it about 10 feet away from you,
right.
Which is great at home. But when you're in those big environments like that, you really want to do it. So I was able to easily just go in, make a couple of changes, and I was running.
Yep.
And now suddenly you could hear it better.
George was setting that up in real time, too, on the video. The video's rolling when you watch that video, and he's setting his consist up right there, 6 engines, and boom, he's running trains. And I just see the hostler or whoever, the guy in the background, just watching him. He's like, you can see the look on his face, like, man, that's quick. And then the next thing you see is roll-bys, 5 minutes or less.
Yeah.
6 engines and a beautiful layout, too. And Mopac, you can't go wrong there. I mean, who doesn't like Mopac, right?
So there you go, Aaron. You got another person you can dump your Mopac stuff to.
Yeah. Oh, I've been eyeballing his site. I was checking out your site last night, so so people call in today and say, like we're out of stock right now. I said, well, here's A&S has got them, so you can. Here's his website, and he's got a pretty good price on them. Check him out. So,
there you go.
Well, we appreciate that. We really do. We're still trying to grow our business. Like I said, we're kind of in our infancy, being 3 years old in the model train market, and we're trying to grow ourselves to where we can be a sustainable business.
Yeah, I think of some of those first shows I saw you at, and you had a 10 by 10, and now you're filling, what'd you say, a 40 by 10 or something?
40 by 20.
40 by 20, there you go. So it's grown quite a bit. So
yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely kudos to that. So
awesome.
Thank you.
Well, as we're kind of coming towards the end, Aaron, I appreciate you taking the time to come out here. Any last thoughts? Why don't you give us your website address, a way people can get a hold of you and purchase those wonderful SoundTraxx decoders from you.
Yeah, I've got a ton of SoundTraxx in stock right now, ready to go, actually. You can reach us at AandStrains.com. That's all spelled out. Or AandStrains@gmail.com, also all spelled out. Or our phone number is 660-353-0200.
Oh, that's awesome. And that's fantastic. And this hobby goes with wonderful retailers like that. And being able to carry product and make it available, and we got to support those businesses.
Absolutely, and it's a great selection. The prices are great too, folks. So, I mean, the train show prices, on the website, you can't beat it.
There you go. Well, as we head to the close, any closing thoughts from you?
I enjoyed Train Fest. As the first time, like I was telling you and the boss, that I hadn't been there to the Baird Center, and it was really a nice venue. Very impressed with the setup. The layouts were great. And it was nice to be back. Most of the time I'd gone to the fairgrounds out there in West Dallas. But like I said, they did a great job with the show, and I look forward to next year's show.
There you go. Well, we'll round up. Don't forget, you can get your SoundTraxx hat, show off all your cool friends, and be the envy of all your friends, and have that. And then certainly decorate your tree.
Right.
That purple stands out really well. So, I mean, these ornaments are great. They're not very expensive.
No.
Some of the ornaments I was walking through the store with my wife. Of course, Christmas stuff's all over the stores already.
Yeah,
and,
Thanksgiving is no longer, it's an afterthought.
It's an afterthought.
And we haven't even made it to Thanksgiving yet.
And as of this recording.
Yes.
And but anyway, these ornaments are very well priced, and so we encourage you to get some of those. Show your support for us and what we do here. We manufacture all of our decoders here. You can check us out on the YouTube channel that you may be watching this on. But if you're not subscribed to our YouTube channel, make sure you do. We try to post tips and information about the decoders and things you can do with it on our YouTube channel. We try to make sure that you've got a lot of information, because ultimately we want you to do everything you can to enjoy your hobby to the fullest. And so it's up to you to decide how much or how little of the decoder you want to use. But if you don't know about it, it's harder for you to use it if you don't know how the decoder works.
Correct.
So we try to demystify that as much as we can. Of course, Blue Nami takes a lot of the difficulty in programming, CV bit math and all this stuff, and takes it and hides it behind the nice clean user interface as we showed you. So with that, that's everything I've got. Aaron, thanks for your time. We greatly appreciate it. Tom, as always, thanks, and glad you're here.
Yeah, thank you.
And that's it. We'll wrap up. I'm sorry?
I said thanks for having me, and always enjoy talking with y'all.
Yep,
likewise.
Absolutely. So we'll go ahead and wrap up this episode of Train Talk from Milepost 141. This is our Season 2, Episode 20 version. So we're rolling along. We're rolling along, so that's pretty fun. This is our 33rd, so hopefully you guys are enjoying them out there, having fun, watching me harass the big lug over here.
Right.
He's a good sport.
That's right. Well, it goes with the territory, Model railroading is fun, folks.
There you go. Exactly. I can't think of a better way to end it. Guys, thanks for watching and listening. We'll see you next time.